It's already done, and I need you to hear that not as motivation, not as hype, not as something to temporarily make you feel better, but as truth that your soul already recognizes, because the fact that you are here right now reading these words is not random, and it is not accidental. You didn't just casually land here out of boredom. You were guided here by a quiet pull that you may not even fully understand yet, a pull that has been growing inside you for weeks, maybe months, maybe even years, a feeling that something in your life is shifting, even though on the surface everything still looks the same, a sense that you are standing on the edge of something bigger, even if you can't see it clearly yet. And that feeling, that subtle, internal knowing, is the first sign that you are entering your winning timeline. Because before your external world changes, your internal identity always shifts first. And if you are honest with yourself, you already know you are not the same person you used to. B. You don't tolerate the same disrespect. You don't chase the same validation. You don't shrink yourself to make other people comfortable in the way you once did. Something inside you has matured. Something inside you has strengthened. And even if your bank account hasn't exploded yet, or your dream opportunity hasn't fully materialized yet, the way you think has changed. The way you respond has changed. The way you carry yourself has changed. And that change is the real beginning, because the universe, God, life, whatever you choose to call it, does not respond to what you wish for. It responds to who you are being. It mirrors your identity back to you in the form of circumstances. And there was a time when you operated from fear and you attracted more fear, when you operated from lack and you saw more lack, when you believed deep down that you were not enough. And life kept sending you situations that confirmed that belief. But now you have stepped into a different internal frequency. You have survived things that should have broken you. You have healed wounds that nobody applauded you for healing. You have cried in private and still showed up in public. You have chosen growth over comfort, even when comfort would have been easier. And all of that inner work has quietly rewritten your self-concept. And when your self-concept changes, your timeline changes, because timelines are not random streaks of luck, they are reflections of identity. And the reason you feel restless lately is not because something is wrong, but because something is rearranging. The old version of your life is losing its grip on you. The old patterns are no longer satisfying. The old conversations feel repetitive. The old goals feel too small, and that discomfort you feel is not failure. It is expansion. It is the stretching that happens right before elevation, and most people quit in this phase because they mistake the in-between for being stuck. But you are not stuck. You are transitioning. You are no longer aligned with who you used to be, and you are stepping into who you are becoming. And that space can feel lonely. It can feel uncertain. It can feel like nothing is happening, but behind the scenes, everything is aligning. Doors you cannot yet see are being positioned. Conversations you have not yet had are being prepared. Opportunities that match your new frequency are moving closer. And the reason this message feels personal is because your intuition is recognizing confirmation. Your soul knows when it is being spoken to. And right now, something inside you feels calm and alert at the same time. Like you are remembering something you forgot. Like you are reconnecting with a version of yourself that always knew you were meant for more. And here is the truth. You need to anchor into your mind. Your winning timeline does not begin when you receive the blessing. It begins when you become the person who can hold it without sabotaging it, and you have become that person. You are no longer desperate in the same way. You are no longer begging life to prove your worth. You are no longer chasing things that require you to abandon yourself. You have started choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, alignment over attention, and those choices may have felt small in the moment, but they were massive shifts in energy, and energy is what dictates outcomes. Because when you operate from self-respect, you attract respect. When you operate from confidence, you attract opportunity. When you operate from abundance, you attract expansion. And even if the evidence is not fully caught up yet, the shift has already happened internally, which means the external reflection is inevitable. It is only a matter of time before your reality mirrors your identity, and that is why it is already done. Not because you can see it physically, but because the decision has already been made within you. You have decided consciously or unconsciously that you are no longer available for the life that kept you small, and that decision alone split your timeline. There is a version of you that would have continued settling, continued doubting, continued playing safe. And there is the version of you who chose growth, and you chose growth, which means you chose the path that leads upward. Even if it feels uncertain right now, and understand this clearly, uncertainty does not mean misalignment. Sometimes uncertainty is simply the gap between who you were and who you are becoming, and you are standing in that gap right now, not as a victim of delay, but as a witness to transformation. And one day, very soon, you will look back at this exact period of your life and realize this was the pivot point. This was the invisible beginning of visible change. This was when your mindset locked into a new standard and life had no choice but to adjust. Because once you stop tolerating less, you stop receiving less. Once you stop negotiating your value, you stop attracting those who question it. Once you stop fearing your own power, you start stepping into rooms differently, speaking differently, deciding differently, and those micro decisions compound into massive shifts. And you may not feel like you are winning yet, but the fact that you are thinking differently is proof that you are, because winning starts internally before it is ever witnessed externally. And the peace you feel lately, even in the middle of unanswered questions, that is not delusion, that is alignment. That is your nervous system finally understanding that you are safe to expand, safe to succeed, safe to receive, and when you feel safe internally, you stop blocking externally, and that is when acceleration begins, and you do not need to force it. You do not need to manipulate timing. You do not need to obsess over how it will happen. Your only job right now is to remain aligned with who you have become, to trust the subtle signs, to trust the internal calm, to trust that the discomfort is simply growth shedding old layers. Because your winning timeline is not something you chase. It is something you step into by becoming, and you have already become different, which means the shift is already in motion, which means the breakthrough is not a question of if, but when, and that when is closer than you think, because everything is aligning in ways you cannot yet see. Conversations are forming, doors are unlocking, people are being positioned, and you are being prepared to walk through it with confidence instead of fear. And when it finally unfolds, it will not feel shocking. It will feel familiar. It will feel earned. It will feel like recognition rather than surprise, because deep down you already knew it was coming. And that is the final confirmation. You are not hoping anymore. You are knowing. And knowing is the frequency of someone who has already stepped into their winning timeline.